Good noon, everyone. Welcome to Nifty Banknifty live analysis. Now, what we see on the hourly chart in the new expiry which has started by, one thing which is very important, there is a lot of resistance in the gap which was already formed. So market did try to rise yesterday and even in the morning it tried to go up. But one thing is very much sure that the gap, or you can see the kind of resistance is there at the top. So somewhere around 17,500 zone will act like a strong resistance. And if you see on the hourly chart, the flow has been quick and fast on the upside. So there will be some kind of reversal coming down towards 17,300 zone, which can act like strong support. So this zone can act like strong support zone, 17,300 for now on the hourly chart. This seems to be very, very clear. Now, main idea over here is to understand on smaller time frame how to look at today's flow of Nifty Bank Nifty, plus also try to see what can happen in this entire expiry coming week ahead. So if I go around on the lower time frame, as we clearly stated on the hourly chart, price did go up, sharp reversal we can clearly see, engulfing structure happening, tried to go up, could not even cross 475, 17,475. That clearly shows that yes, selling pressure is on. So one thing is very clear, if it is trying to go up again over here, the selling pressure is on and price might not move ahead. Mainly if you try to go for the intraday structure, it seems to be very much relevant that yes, small downside is quite possible entering into this 17,300 zone. But one thing is very clear, this zone will act like strong support base. So I can basically say, even if the Nifty starts coming down, this zone will act like a strong support base, 17,300, 320, these kind of zones. So if I'm trying to sell over here, you might only get 50-60 points of downside, which is quite visible over here, as upside seems to be capped. So that's one move that one can catch on the downside, but upside seems to be also limited. Let's quickly check on the option data. How does that support us for our analysis or not? So if I bring in the option data to understand what's happening at 17,300, 400 zone, and if you see over here for 9th of December, I just relocate it. So we just want to understand, okay, fine, if the prices are not going up, and can it go on the downside? But we also need to understand that a lot of support is there or not. So I'm not getting the option data as of now. I think it's not updated, but let us also take some. Here we are. So we have the 9th of December OTM option. Now, if you try to see this on the top side, 600, 500, as we suggested, 17,500 is a strong resistance. So that was very clear for us. But the other point which we need to understand, there is no good support at the downside. So 17,400, once it is below that zone, it can rapidly go down at least for 70, 80 points. That's very much in line. And you can clearly see 17,400 again in the last 2 hours. In the last 1 hour also, I'm seeing 17,400. So all said and done, 17,400 is an important zone for us to watch out for. Okay, so this is what I can say is 17,400 zone. And as I said, if it crosses downside is very much open over here, but the downside might get limited to somewhere around 60, 70 points only. So obviously we'll see Bank Nifty that is also suggesting downside, then that can push Nifty faster on the downside move. Now, why I'm saying there is no big downside, because if you see yesterday, it did go up Nifty. Okay, so this is very important to also understand what has happened yesterday. It did go up, sustained, tried to go up, sustained, again tried to go up. If you see this, there was a blip and the rise. So if I see multiple times what's happening in this area, a lot of buying is taking place, and this was the breakout zone. So that's when I can say that, okay, fine, the downside can get limited around this zone 17,300 for your target points. Okay, so that is very, very important to understand that if we are trying to look for sell from the upside, there is a limited downside story over here. And it is very clear, if you see, it started going higher, it could not sustain, came down, sharp downside, and we can see it did not even reach now towards the higher point. Again, there is one more red candle. He tried to go higher. Again, we can see selling is coming by from the same higher zone. So there is a lot of resistance at the top. There is no doubt about it. And we can look for selling opportunity only on Nifty, but for a small quick buck, not for a longer trend on the downside. Let's quickly check on Bank Nifty as well. So first, checking it on the hourly chart. The same thing seems to be relevant even on Bank Nifty. If you see over here, there is a huge gap over here, and multiple times, if you see one time, two times, third time over here, 36,800 is very, very important. And now we can see sharp selling is coming by on the lower side on Bank Nifty as well. And that's why we can see some pressure happening on Nifty as also, as we were discussing the Nifty structure. And we see Bank Nifty zoomed up, came back down right at the bottom, made the new same low, did not make any new low, and there was a sharp bounce over here. So one thing is very, very certain over here. There is a strong support zone for Bank Nifty, because in the morning also it has kind of bounced from the same area. So I would say yes, Bank Nifty has a very good support zone around 36,500 kind of zone. And the most important point over here, the Bank Nifty did come down, settled over here, and the rally started at the bottom. So we can see one more good amount of support is obviously around this 36,300 kind of zone. So these are very important zones of support for Bank Nifty. And then I can say that Bank Nifty also will pause over here after the drop. And that's why I'm not saying that Nifty can go down very, very fast or harshly on the downside. It can be limited downside over there in Nifty. If you check on smaller time frame, it is very clear. It's coming back down. There is no doubt that yes, some kind of trend formation is taking place, could not go higher and kind of going down over here. So this was a sharp downside which came through, and the price never went above 36,700. Let's see the option data. What does the option data suggest? And one thing which will be very much certain, the higher resistance will be there even in the Bank Nifty as we saw in Nifty. So 9 December, 37,000 is huge, 36,500 is huge. So one thing is very clear, 36,500 is very, very important zone for Bank Nifty. Let's say in last 2 hours, we can see yes, 36,500 stands out, 36,500 and 600 and 700, there is resistance, but 500 is more important for us. And same thing if I see in last 1 hour, 36,500 stands out again. So if I try to understand over here, 36,500 is this zone, and there is a lot of OI which is built up over here. So as the prices are coming down over here, I'm very sure that yes, there will be some bounce activity which will take place. It will not just keep going down, down, down. There will be bounce activity from this area. Okay, and the most important is if I want to take a trade, I have to be very, very clear. If it goes down, it will bounce over here, comes down, bounce over here, and so on. And then it breaks on the downside. So we will try to see, okay, fine. I know that it will bounce over here, and then we'll try to see if it forms a kind of structure over here where multiple kind of testing is taking place at the support, and finally it breaks down. Then you can get another 200 points of downside very, very fast on Bank Nifty. So taking this trade right now, just for a small cheeky trade is fine, but small scalp trade, but it does not give you a clean downside move over here, because you can see strong up move was there. It basically broke that, come down in this area where the buying has come. So bounce activity will always take place. So that's it for Nifty Bank Nifty. After the sharp move which happened yesterday, things will move in a narrow range, and obviously we cannot expect wild movements now. Going into the next week, yes, the movements will now kind of get synchronized, because last 3 weeks expiry has been very, very violent, lot of volatility. So it's time to basically settle down. That is also there. So here Nifty seems to be way much structured compared to Bank Nifty. So I would be basically seller on Nifty, because I can clearly see it coming towards 17,320 to 17,300 zone, and Bank Nifty is also kind of in a smaller downturn format. So that's it for today. We connect again on Monday. Have a great weekend, and do like and subscribe, and also share the commentary in your friends and circles. Thank you very much.